Hello. Well, today is Wise Women's Wednesday, and it's time to get wise, girls. It's time to get on here and let's get some work done. We got a lot of fun things to talk about. I'm delighted to share a bunch of things. Hi, Casey. Good to see you. My goodness. Nice to see you. Hi, Sherry. Here comes everyone. Good. Yeah, let's get some people in here because we got a lot of good stuff going on. Hi, you're so sweet, Casey. Casey is my dear friend Laura from high school's daughter, who's just a love. And it was like, a soul sister. Heidi, Lisa, hello, 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 hello. How is everybody? Christine, how are you guys all doing? Bring them on in. Let's go, go, go. It's Wise Women's Wednesday. We've got some really good stuff to talk about today. Let's go. When we get to 100, we're getting serious, We've got all kinds of things going on, and I'm just so glad that just give me some love if you're glad that Marla Silly is back, because I'm telling you, having her gone, it's just like it felt like I lost an appendage for a minute there. Just don't ask me why. But, once you get used to something, you just want things to be your normal thing. Rita, Lucy, good to see you. I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for asking. Ladies, I am just so delighted, and I'm still going back into the sprint group, and I'm still seeing all these remarkable results, remarkable comments. And, I just have to tell you how honored I was to be your guide, but you guys did the work. And it was really super exciting to watch everybody have such great progress. And I want to keep you there in that place of declaring your victory every single day. I don't want to see anybody fall back. I don't want to see anybody, go off the rails and into the ditch. Stay on the track. There's the difference. There's rails and there's a track, and I want you on the track. So we're going to talk about that today a little bit. Hi, Tammy. Good to see you. Here comes everybody. Are you sharing this? Sharing's caring, y'all. And by the way, speaking of sharing, guess who won the book? Kimmy Hatton. Thank you, Kimmy. I'm going to send you this book. All you need to do, Kimmy, is send an email into support@savingdinner.com so I can get your address and put it in the mail. I will personalize this book and sign it to you. And I thank you for sharing my videos and all the sweet things that you said. I really appreciate that a lot. And it's also, there she is. Yeah, she's exactly right. Yes, if you're off the rails, you become a train wreck. We want to stay on the track. We want to point it. We want to call it. Remember that? Point and call. Point and call. That's what we do. We point and call it. So, of course, it's Wise Women Wednesdays, and what do wise women do? They collaborate. They get together. They find out about each other. They build a community. We have done that. We have done that so much and so well in our sprint community, and it's been really, really great. As we do that, as we, build our community and what have you, we lift each other up. We give each other the encouragement that we need and maybe help course correct some of our stragglers and bring everybody in. Nobody gets left behind. That's what happens when you build a great community. And we have that in the sprint. And we're continuing that now in the Hot Melt Diet Group. Now, the Hot Melt Diet Group is a place where people are really, really on point and getting the coaching and everything that they need. And just so you know, if you are a part of that group, at 2:00 today, which is in less than an hour, I will be in that Hot Melt Diet group in Facebook doing our first coaching call. And the first coaching call is going to have a teaching on fasting. I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff, a little bit of sciencey stuff, a lot of research to back up what we're saying and what I want you to keep doing and using fasting as a type of a habit. And two, we're going to have an opportunity for me I'll coach you. You can ask some questions and what have you. But anyway, that will go from 2 to 2:45, and then of course We have tea. You know how it is. We have to have tea. Our quote of the week, I think, is just so good because it just underscores what just happened in the sprint, right? And our quote of the week is, I never dreamed of success. I worked for it. And all of you who were in the sprint understand there was work involved. And, I think about it now, and I did not do this on purpose, but I think about it now. You were cooking bone broth, you were gardening with your little broccoli sprouts, you were creating your salad mixes. And while it was very simple, you still had to plan for it. You still had to create your own grocery list. The first time I didn't create a grocery list, and I did that on purpose because I need you to determine how much you're going to need and all of that. So you created your own grocery list. And then you had your little seeds, and that required you watering them and taking care of them and eating those broccoli sprouts every day. You ate your soup, you made your bone broth, all of it. And the rewards were ridiculously, just blew me away. The rewards were amazing because I expected you to lose weight. I expected you to lose inflammation. But what did we see? We saw some remarkable results. And again, what we have to look at, it is not just about the number on the scale because it's only one measurement. One measurement. We also have our measure. I don't know where my measuring tape went, but I do have one around here somewhere. We also have our measuring tape. We also have the measurement of how we feel. That is it. Don't ever take that measurement for granted. That is a very important, pertinent measurement. Always. How did you feel? Did you sleep better? Are your joints less achy? Marla said she could see her toes. Ankle bones, that is a measurement. Skinny fingers, that's a measurement. Your face, that's a measurement. Everything is a measurement. We have to look at things not just from like the greatest loser perspective point of view. And by the way, all those greatest loser people, they're all gained their weight back because that's an unrealistic way to live your life. It is an unrealistic way to live your life. Nobody is going to be living in a dorm, exercising nonstop 9,000 hours a week, and then sweating it out and then eating whatever and having somebody scream at them. That's not how it works. We need to be loved into a new lifestyle. We need to be loved, and we need to love ourselves enough to bring ourselves into that new lifestyle. Isn't that right? Do you understand how that feels? Did you see a shift in what you thought about yourself after completing the sprint? Because I noticed that, people say they feel smaller, they felt better about themselves, they felt empowered. I'm never going back to that again. It was just like I saw fists pumped in the air. I mean, I felt like, what was that movie where Sally Fields was, in telling everybody unionize, I felt like that. I felt like I was standing in the middle of a sweatshop and screaming union and getting up on the table and hoping everybody would get up with me. But I saw that. I saw this rising up of women. And that's what I want to talk today about, is what wise women do. So that's what we're going to do. Okay? Wise women discover who they are. And they discover who they are. They're curious about who they are. Instead of being helpless, they're powerful and hopeful. Instead of being pitiful, they're powerful. You know that. That's a shift right there. But they're also into the discovery of who they are. They've stopped relying on the gurus out there. They've stopped buying all those darn diet books and the hocus pocus pills and this, that, and the other thing. They've stopped all that silly stuff. Instead, you're not looking for a miracle, but you're looking for an understanding of who you are. You're looking to plug in to the reality of your own truth. And you know who that is. You just haven't listened to her for a very, very long time. That woman who's inside of you, your own nutritional guru, is going to tell you what to do by how you feel. But if you're unplugged and you don't have any discovery about yourself, you're never going to get to that point. If you just rely on other people to do it for you, you'll never have the opportunity to find out who you are. So when you say, I know this about myself, this is what I need to do, then you stand in that, sister. You stand in that. You know, the only time I would ever disagree with anybody or ever push back on them is if they say, I need to eat sugar every single day. I would say that's a big mistake. That would be like an alcoholic drinking booze every day. I mean, this is just, it's a big mistake. I won't support that. I will support you, though, finding out about yourself. And I love what Kimmy just said. She's awakening. You have a sleeping giant inside. And I say she's a sleeping giant because she's larger and bigger than you have probably ever given her credit for. She is super powerful, and she will take you down the path that is right for you. That's not to say that there won't be some slips and some bumps along the way, obstacles, and just like, oh, where am I? What am I doing? I mean, that's how it is that we find our way, isn't it? There's a GPS that we can set to a certain degree, but there's also finding out about what is it that makes us tick and why. What is it that we can do and why can't, what is it that we can't do? You know, and I'm not talking just about weight loss or whatever, but I'm talking about your general health. Because what I have noticed and what I've seen in the sprint is that, yeah, people were really charged up about losing all that weight and all those inches and all of that. And it's cool. It's like the greatest thing ever. But they were also charged up about feeling better, about putting socks on without a struggle and asking somebody to help them, about not waking up in the middle of the night and turning over and crying in pain. Wow. I mean, I can get on board with that, can't you? To me, that's getting on track. That's not going off the rails. That's getting on track. That's connecting the dots between what I have eaten is making me feel better. It's helping my body to heal. And I tell you this because I've read this over and over again, and in the science certainly it supports it. Your body is wanting to heal itself. You just haven't given it the right materials. Your body is never going to heal itself with a can of Pringles and a Snickers bar, ever. That is not the right building materials. It will fill a caloric need, you know, if you will. But if that is your only measurement, you're in big time trouble. You have nutrient needs. And this is why the nutrient density, and the broccoli sprouts even, was so important and so much a part of what we just did in the sprint. It was because I knew there was some nutrient dense, there were some nutrient tanks that were well depleted that needed to be jacked back up. And that's part of my job as a nutritionist. I look and I say, okay, so here's what we're going to do. It's just not a matter of losing weight. If it was just a matter of losing weight, we would have all lost it on what is that stuff that Marie Osmond sells on TV? I don't remember. But all of that, I mean, haven't we all done that? Haven't we all tried those things or bought lean cuisines and what have you? And what have they done? We might have gotten smaller, but have we felt good after them? Maybe a little bit, but like this, probably not. So that's the discovery part. We have to discover this about ourselves. And then we need to look for the evidence to back it up. And we live that. We've got the evidence. That's why I say to you, if you do go off the rails, write it down. Somebody was saying they had, at 10 o'clock last night, had two Polish sausages and that's it, Nutrisystem. That was it. They were just like in acid reflux mode and just like, you know, feeling horrible. Write it down. What got you there in the first place? And now, how do you feel now that you've decided that's just not a good idea? And not just the acid reflux and I feel crappy, but also what brought you to that place of thinking that it was a good idea to eat 2 Polish sausages at 10 o'clock at night anyway? I mean, seriously, because this is how we change our brain. We can change our brain to stop thinking, hey, that's a good idea. You know, it's not a good idea. I mean, anybody would not have a good time with that. You know, none of us would. And there's other things like that were out there that are just telling you all these different things that they thought would be, well, I'll just cheat on this one thing, and it just didn't work out for them. They felt terrible later. And then there's, they felt bodily terrible later. Didn't say anything about what was going on inside of their brain. But that's, to me, is where we get to connect the dots. Because if we can sit down and do like an assessment, an aftermath assessment, and just go through it and say, okay, so I felt hungry. I was obsessing about carbs. So this is what I ate. 3 hours later, I'm laying in bed. I can't sleep. I've got acid reflux. And I wake up this morning. My face is puffed up. I feel sick to my stomach, and I gained 2 pounds. Something like that. And this is how I feel about the whole thing. Wrap it up with a bow. This is how I feel. We are, I told you this, we've talked about this before. We're emotional, we're physical, we're spiritual beings. We're physiological. I mean, we have all these things going on inside of us. We're intellectual. If we can tie all of these things in, then we start to make amazing progress into the life that we want. I shared a quote with you yesterday. Here it is. Does this support the life that I'm trying to build? Does it? And that's what we have to keep looking at. Our food is our fuel for the life that we want. Our food is always going to be the fuel for the life that we want. And the life that we don't want is the one that we left behind at, pre-sprint. We don't want all those medications. We don't want insulin shots. We don't want to feel bad. We want to be able to see our ankle bones. We want to say, look at my skinny fingers. We want to say, I feel good. I slept better. We want that. So if that's what we want, those are the things that we build. That's the garden that we water. Okay? We pull the weeds out as we see them, and we just keep nurturing that garden, because that's what it is. And from the discovery point, once we get that evidence, we can start getting the scientific proof that shows, hey, you know what? Fasting does work. It does work. And if you are part of my Hot Melt Diet group, you are going to be able to hear my teaching on fasting, because it is mind-blowing. My teaching on fasting at 2 o'clock today, Eastern, of course, and I'm going to take you all the way through fasting and why it's working for you, and what it's doing with your hormones and all these other things. And it's one of the most truly magnificent things that you can build in to your habits. Fasting's amazing. But you get to back everything up with that research. Back it up with your own evidence of what it is, right? And then this second thing that you need to do is, from there you make a decision. A lot of you have made that decision and have gone on into the Hot Melt Diet group. And I think that's awesome, because I can't wait to teach and coach you. You make decisions on what you want to do next. You make decisions on, how is this going to now impact my life and change my direction? We also make decisions, on the other hand, where we don't get things fast enough. We have a microwave mentality that says, well, it's not coming fast enough, so I'm going to dump it. I saw one woman who wrote, I think it was either in the Sprint group, or it was a message or an email. I don't even remember. But she said, I didn't lose any weight and I didn't lose any inches, but I am far from discouraged, because I have slept through the night for the first time in about 10 years. I don't have the inflammation. I can wear my wedding ring again. And on it went. I'm not going to say too much. I don't want to give her up. If in case that was a private message, I don't remember. But the thing that you have to keep looking at, the thing that will help you and always get you in staying the course, is the evidence that you have from the discovery that you've made. And your evidence is not necessarily a number on the scale or your tape measure. There's my tape measure. There's my prop, but I use this on myself. However you lose is how you lose. It might be fast, it might be slow, it might be somewhere in between. It's up to you and your body. And you need to trust your body, and you need to pamper and love your body, because this is how it works. This is how it works. The decision that you make is based upon the evidence that you've gathered and the discovery that you've made about yourself. And if you make the mistake of the comparison factor, remember, comparison is the thief of joy, then you're going to fall into despair, helplessness, hopelessness, and pitifulness. Instead of being hopeful and powerful and understanding that you have harnessed the power, you've made the decision, you have to compare yourself to where you were before, not someone else. Okay, I want you to hold on to that, because your decisions are huge. Your decisions are the things that are going to propel you forward into the place that you want to go, or into a place you don't want to go. But your decisions have to be for you. They have to be for your health, and they have to be something that works for you. Now, I'm watching the chat here, and there's this back and forth about the carbs and the not the carbs and all this other kind of stuff. And again, I'm going to say that nobody has the right to ever tell you that you should have this or you should not have that. You have to discover that for yourself. That's a part of your discovery. How can you play with carbs? I don't know. Can you? Resistant starch comes from baked potatoes. Can you have a baked potato? I don't know. Can you? That is not my discovery. It's yours. That's not my decision. It's yours. And you need to make these decisions that are based on what works for you, period. That is the only thing that you can do. And when you do that and you start to dial in and create your own personal plan that you can live with, and it's getting you the results that you want, then you're in the place of victory. Now, when we talk about garbage, we're talking about the garbage that is out there. The snack industry has created for us in the 80s and thrown us down a chute, that we don't want to go down. I'm talking about all of that garbage. There are a lot of good carbs out there, and a lot of the good, healthy carbs that are out there work for some people and they don't work for others. Because if we are all in a place of some people have way too much insulin in our bodies. And that goes with good carbs, that goes with bad carbs. So that's where we are with that. That's how the body works. This is not Leanne's opinion. This is just how physiology works. So if you are stacked up with insulin in your body and you have insulin resistance, weight loss resistant, you might even be pre-diabetic or diabetic, your carb count is crucial. And I'm going to tell you what, your carbs, your body doesn't care if you put in a good carb or a bad carb. Well, it does. I mean, there's still inflammation, whatever, but your insulin numbers are going to go up. That's just your sugar, if you get a sugar glucose monitor and prick your finger after a donut versus after a sweet potato, your numbers are going to go up. That's just how it is, especially if you're insulin resistant. Insulin resistant, it just means that you just are, you cannot, your body is filled with insulin already. And I love this visual of just, you've got a pickle jar, and the pickle jar is filled and it's sealed and it's shut, and you just can't possibly put another pickle in it. You can't put any more juice in it. That's kind of how it is with insulin resistance. You can't do anything more with that. And that's why when we take the sugar down, then we're going to be able to crack that lid on that pickle jar and get some air in there, get a pickle out and take some of that juice out. And maybe that's a weird thing, but it's true. So rather than having a big discussion on what carbs you can have or what carbs you can't have, it's not that this philosophy is right or that philosophy is right. It's about discovering your own, period. So please keep that in mind. And don't let anybody push you around and tell you should do this and you should do that. It's crazy. And that includes me. I'm not your guru. Again, I'm not your guru. I'm just going to tell you that if you have certain sensitivities, honor them. If you know in your heart of hearts that you just can't go there with something, then don't. And I promise you, if you're not eating whole grains, you are not going to be without fiber, because believe it or not, whole grains don't have nearly as much fiber as artichokes do, and leafy greens and other things. So just take a chill pill on all of that stuff and go take a look. Start looking up some nutritional information and seeing. You will get some fiber, I promise you. That's how it works. So if you go from the discovery place to the decision place of deciding what is right for you because you've taken the time to discover what is right for you, then that's going to bring you to the place of direction. And we've just talked about this. You have to take your direction according to where all the evidence that you've gathered from before come from. You can't have somebody else do it for you. One of my pet peeves in life is when somebody says, hey, what's this? You know, in a group or something, they'll say, well, what's such and such? Like today I was in one of the groups that I'm in on Facebook, and this one woman was asking, well, what's lysine? Lysine. And I thought, well, honey, you're 5 seconds away from finding out. If you just did it yourself and went to Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever and put in what is lysine, you could find out all by yourself. And yet this person decided to take the time in this group, none of our groups, take the time to ask everybody in this group, and there's, thousands of people, what lysine is, rather than open another tab and find out for herself. Now, there's two things. One, that is so lazy. Come on. And number two, when you expect everybody around you to spoon feed you, you're not taking responsibility for yourself, period. Now, it's one thing to say, hey, you know what? I have a bad connection, but just real quick, what's lysine? Help me out. I'm in a cave or something. But you don't need me to spoon feed you. If you don't understand what something is, and I've already written it out 100 times, I'm probably not going to answer you. Because it's Wise Women Wednesday. You're wise women. You know how to fend for yourself a little bit. You're not babies. I'm not your mother bird. I don't have to go get the worm for you, chew it up, and spit it into your mouth. Don't be lazy. Be smart. Be wise, be powerful, find out for yourself. And then if there's a confusing part of that, ask me, ask the group. And then that way, that's how we start to build a community that's the next level up. The next level up is for people who aren't expecting everybody to do it for them. They're taking responsibility for themselves. They're doing their own research. They're inquisitive. They're curious. They're discovering things about themselves. They're making decisions that are really, that are powerfully good for them. They're making their own decisions, and they're taking direction. They're taking direction from all of that they've gathered. And all I can say to that is that that's what wise women do. And that's what we're talking about today, is being a wise woman. And pulling ourselves together, pulling ourselves into this place of not being helpless and hopeless. Instead, we can be helpful and powerful, and we can help ourselves, and we can powerfully help others, and we can just stay the course because we know what we're doing is the right thing for us. We know it. And that's to make sure that also that you're doing things that if you do fall off the wagon, or you do make a wrong turn, that you can correct at any time. Falling off that path is not the be all end all. It's just an opportunity to self-correct. And that's what I invite you to do, is to go back to that self-correction. We all need to do that. And I'm going to tell you my dairy story, because talk about self-correction. So we had 7 days of the sprint, and I did it with you. I was as, I hate the word perfect like Marla does, but I did it exactly according to plan, all 7 days. And day 7, was Monday. Well, day whatever. Yeah, day 8 was really Monday. So day 8, I wake up and I said, okay. So, I fasted. And then that night, I made hamburgers. And I did, the hamburger I put cheese on it. And I made some low carb buns, very good, but made out of cheese. And the next day, and I had a couple of glasses of wine. Next day, I gained a pound. Whoa, whatever. No worries. I guess, shouldn't have drank the wine. So, yes, last night I made this awesome, the keto meatloaf that I posted in the sprint group. That's so delicious. The hot melt meatloaf. Made that. I also made some roasted broccoli, and I also made some cauliflower. And it's my hot melt cauliflower. It's so fun. There's bacon in it, there's onions in it, and there's cheese and cream and butter. Yum. So this morning I woke up and I gained a pound. And you know what? You know what my discovery is? And I think back, and this is I'm telling you, we're all like this, including me. My discovery is, I remember in 2015 when I just shredded all that weight off, I stayed away from every inflammatory thing under the sun. Basically did the program that we're doing now in the sprint. But what I did, and I stayed away from the cheese. Completely 100%. I just stayed away from the cheese. But I was also clearing up my skin. I had all these other things. Cheese is not my friend. It's my enemy. And I'm so disappointed because I loved what that hot melt cauliflower that I made is delicious. Those hamburger buns were terrific. And I love having a hamburger every once in a while with a bun on it, right? But for me, my discovery is that it's not good for me. It's inflammatory, and it's going to cause me to play with those 4 pounds, that 4 pound song and dance. No, thank you. I'm on a slide. So I'm not going to do that. I have to get rid of that inflammatory stuff. So my decision is to say no to cheese, right? And my direction is my diet is now cheeseless. Goodbye, cheese. I love you, cheese, but I'm breaking up with a boyfriend. That's just not good for me. And that's the way it has to be. So sometimes you have to get to that place, and you have to make a decision about what you can do and what you can't do. And when you're there and you see the direction that you need to go, and it's a sad one, breaking up with cheese, but it's the only way to go. I don't want that inflammation anymore. I don't want the scale to go up every time I eat it. I want the scale to keep sliding down. So tonight we're having Mexican. Marla's coming over tonight. And they've got the chicken. I've got the tortillas for the guys. We've got lettuce for the wrap. I've got everything that we need. I'm putting the cheese and the sour cream out, right? The cheese and the sour cream's going out. Am I going to have that? Absolutely not. It doesn't work for me. No cheese works for me. Cheese just doesn't work for me. If a little piece of cheese is like chocolate for me, I just need to stay away. And it's not that hard. I can do it. I know my body. I've made that discovery. So here we go. Danielle, I already do almond milk for my smoothies and what have you, but it's just, the cream it was the cream in the other stuff that just did it. But anyway, so that's okay. That's the discovery that I've made. And because of that, I have done the boyfriend breakup. That is my boyfriend who I'm breaking up with because he is abusive and he's never going to allow me to do the things that I need to do. I need to go down that path. If I'm going to slide down the slide, if I'm going to get to the whoosh place, then I'm just going to have to stay away from those inflammatory things. That's just how it is. So I've gone long enough, and I've made lots of friends out here. I appreciate you all. And, just remember that, what you have done in this sprint is you've worked for it. Your success is because of the work. Just like Estee Lauder, it's because of the work that you did. And we get rewarded by the work that we do. We get paychecks. We get a sense of satisfaction. We get, we get to take the pats on the back. Hey, we did this. I just want to put this in your ballpark right now. You are someone who needs to make your own discovery, needs to find your own evidence of what it is that you need in your life and what it is that you don't need in your life. You're the one that needs to make the decision that you need to make about what that's going to look like going forward. And then you need to take that direction. And it needs to be your own. It's your own direction. Carb, no carbs. Cheese, no cheese. Whatever. Wine, even. Playing with stevia and xylitol and all those other things. Susie asked me, what about wine? What about it? Discover, darling. Discover. I'm hoping to still keep wine in my bag of tricks. I certainly did when I lost all that weight in 2015. But it's probably going to be pushed to the weekend or pushed to one day a week or whatever. And, with the limit on a glass. That's okay. Women who drink wine every day, more than one glass, are more susceptible to breast cancer. That's a statistic nobody likes, but it's true. So keep that in mind. And keep in mind that I am going to be on at 2 o'clock. If you're part of the Hot Melt Diet group, you will find me in the Hot Melt Diet group here on Facebook, not on the Saving Dinner page, okay? This is a special group. It's a paid group, and you're going to be getting your coaching. You're going to be getting a whole teaching on fasting, and we're going to go deep. And if you have some questions, we'll go there. We go from 2 o'clock to 2:45. We stop at exactly at 2:45. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you better in there. And let's keep jamming on this, guys. Let's keep jamming. And I'm proud of you all, by the way. I'm proud of everybody who has taken the sprint on, because, it takes a little work and it takes some doing, but you did it. And I'm proud of you. So thanks for joining me. I will see you at 2 o'clock if you're part of the Hot Melt Diet group. And I will see you tomorrow at 1. And don't forget, we have tea time at 3 with Marla. Bye, guys.